my face looks at all oddly colored throughout this vlog, it's because I got a massive sunburn and I'm trying really hard to cover it up with makeup. It's time for another editing vlog. So, this vlog is gonna be a mess. My process might be a mess. I don't know. How do I open this? I guess I'll start by talking about what we'll be talking about during this vlog. So first up, we'll be talking about how I worked with my beta readers. Next, we'll be talking about how exactly I'm working about editing, because I'm not only working with my beta readers' feedback, but I'm also working with my developmental editors' feedback. So I have feedback coming in from a few different places. Then I'll also be talking about my daily editing process, and I only say that because I designed my schedule so this week and next week, all I have to worry about, or in theory, all I have to worry about is editing. I'll also be talking about how I'm deciding which edits I'm going to implement, mostly based off of my beta reader feedback, because I've already done a lot of discussing with my developmental editor, so most of the stuff that she's saying now is not a surprise and I've already addressed it. And of course I'm going to be talking about how I deal with the overwhelm of getting so much feedback, because I've been through it. So let me start by explaining what my schedule is looking like right now. So normally I would, operate as usual, work on cover design a little bit every day because I have cover design clients, and ship orders for the book launch planner and do some promoting for that, and do a little bit of YouTube every day. Basically, normally I work on a little bit of everything every day. Does that work effectively? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. But I had a huge shift in my editing deadline for this book, for reasons that I can't disclose yet. What I can say is that about a month ago, my timeline for publishing and what I need to do on the back end for editing was way different. I gave myself way more time, and I was supposed to just kind of be more relaxed about the situation. However, an opportunity was presented to me that I could not refuse. Therefore, I had to basically speed up my editing deadline by a lot. So I had to move up the copy edit process, move up the proofreading process, move up the developmental editing process, and all this happened about a month ago when there's really not a whole lot of wiggle room left. Basically, that means that I have 2 full weeks to finish developmental edits before I send them off to my copy editor. Now, at this point, this book is now, it's been through draft 3, so what I'm working on right now would be draft 4 of this book. And so far all it's been is just developmental edits after developmental edits. Now if you guys saw my first editing vlog where I explained how I worked with my developmental editor, the first time she read it, she just wrote an editorial assessment on it and I edited the book accordingly. So all the big picture editing stuff has already happened. There's gonna be no big plot changes. Everything at this point is small, little intimate detail changes, hopefully. So after I made those edits, I sent my manuscript to my editor, and then I also sent my manuscript to my beta readers. So I gave the same version to my editor as well as my beta readers. Was that the ideal situation? No, that's just how the timeline ended up going about. So today is Monday, and Friday was the deadline for my beta readers, but I also was like, you know what, I'm not gonna work on it until Monday anyway, so you guys have until Sunday if you need to finish up. And every single one of my beta readers actually finished reading the book, which feels really good. So I ended up choosing 7 beta readers, and they all read the book and they all gave amazing feedback. And then my developmental editor also gave me her feedback on Friday. So now it's Monday and I've got feedback from 8 different people and I need to sort through them. What you guys need to know is how I'm sorting through all of that feedback, and I'll go more into it a little bit later, but I'm going to show you my very analytical way of sorting through stuff. So basically, the first thing I did, and I did all this Sunday, so I wanted to sit down Sunday and get a quick overview of the big picture of what exactly I'll be editing. Is it going to be big edits, small edits, and then set myself editing goals accordingly. So in my novel notebook, I have a page that just says draft 4, and I made little bullet points of what exactly I need to edit. And I made these notes by skimming through all the feedback my beta readers have given, and anything that felt like big picture stuff that I would need to edit throughout, like not necessarily the entire novel, but throughout a few different scenes. I wrote that on this page so I can always be mindful of it. For example, one of them is adding backstory to another character. Now, the beta readers did not ask for more backstory of this particular character, but the way they were talking made me realize that in order for them to connect with this character more, that they need to have more backstory and get to know this person better. And a lot of this notes that are big picture are very spoilery, so I don't want to talk about them. But then on the next page, I literally wrote myself like how I'm going to edit every day. But we're going to talk about that later throughout this week, so yeah. What I do want to talk about right now is how exactly I worked with my beta readers. Now, this is the first time I've worked with beta readers in this way, but it worked out amazing. To pick out beta readers, I sent it out to my newsletter subscribers, and my newsletter subscribers were the only ones that could sign up to become beta readers. This is because I wanted people in my inner circle, people who were dedicated to me enough to not only be subscribed to my newsletter, but to open up and read my newsletter. And then I picked beta readers based on who I thought would be the best fit for my book. So I picked out 7 beta readers, but truthfully, I kind of assumed that 2 or 3 of them were not going to finish the book and that I'd only have to deal with feedback from 5 to 4 people. And now I have 7 people, which, you know, the more the better. It's just a little bit more overwhelming, but it's nice to have that many opinions because literally every single person had different things to point out, and a lot of what they said was really good. The way I worked with my beta readers was 90% through Google Forms. So I sent my beta readers a PDF document that they could view through Dropbox. And at the end of every couple of chapters, within that PDF would be a form that, like, you know, it's this clickable Google form link, and you click it and it brings you to a Google form. I had them at the end of chapter 1, and then after that every 5 chapters. This way, we worked in little sections for beta readers to give feedback based off of those specific chapters. But not only could they fill out the form, but they also had the option to leave inline comments in the PDF document because it's just an option that you have when you share a PDF through Dropbox. I will say the one downside is that when a beta reader leaves a comment on the PDF document, everyone who has access to that same PDF document sees the comment as well, which is not the end of the world, but when it comes to beta readers, you usually want someone's feedback based solely off of their reading experience, and you don't want them to be influenced by other beta readers. Now, for the most part, when people left comments inside the PDF, it was just be like, oh, I love this line, or totally relate to this, or something like that, which I enjoy when I need a pick-me-up. Every single form had what I would call base questions. These were questions that were in every form. So one of the questions that was in every form was a question about pacing. Are there any points where it felt like the story dragged or points where things felt rushed? And then a question about characters. Were the characters believable? Does it make sense? There's a question about setting, and just a question at the very bottom to be like, all right, is there anything else that you want to mention? This allowed me to check in on those most important things every 5 chapters to make sure that there weren't any inconsistencies throughout the books. And then as well as that, for every section, there were specific questions that were only for that section. So, for example, chapter 1, I was asking, you know, does this hook you into the story? Does it make you want to keep reading? If you were someone who just picked this book off of a shelf at Barnes & Noble, would you want to buy this book and keep reading it? And then for the middle of the book, I would be like, okay, how's the pacing for the story now? Do you feel like things have kind of lost momentum? Is there the saggy middle that everyone always talks about in a book? And I just found these Google Forms super helpful, and I don't know how it was for the beta readers and their perspective, but for me as the author, it made it so I didn't have to sort through the feedback later. It was already sorted by section at the end. And then I had a final form for the very end of the book where it asks about the last couple of chapters at the end of the book, but then in the second section of that form, there's questions for the book as a whole. Like, what did you think about the book as a whole? What do you think about the book blurb? Do you feel like the book blurb describes the book? How would you describe this book to a friend? Oh, and I should probably also mention at this point that this book is actually going to be a duology. So another question was like, would you read book 2? And honestly, those answers to that question were super, super helpful because it helps me make sure that not only do my readers still want to read book 2, but feel there is a need to read book 2. So for those forms, like I said, I pasted the link to the form at the end of whatever chapter they coincided with. That way, as the beta reader was reading, they'd get to the end of chapter 7, and then at the end of chapter 7 would be the link to the form. Now, I will admit sometimes I put the links in the wrong spot, but I tried my best to put them in the correct spot. And not only that, but in the email that I sent to my beta readers, I kind of put like a cheat sheet for the forms where I'd be like, here's the form for chapter 1, here's the form for chapter 2 through 6, and that sort of deal. So that's how I worked with my beta readers. It's about 1 p.m. on Monday, and I've already started editing, and I just didn't feel like vlogging because, like I said, really bad sunburn, and I didn't want to put makeup on yet. But I will say I've already edited 3 chapters, so super exciting. Let's get into chapter 4. Meant to say this about my editing timeline earlier and then I got distracted by something. But like I said, my editing timeline for this project is way, way condensed. Normally I would work on editing for a book like an hour, 2 hours, maybe 3 hours max in one day. But I actually worked super, super hard to finish as much work as possible for everything else that I do. That means YouTube, the book launch planner, cover design. So this week I can focus solely on the editing of this book. So when you see me vlogging and working and like spitting out chapters left and right, which hopefully is what will happen, no, I'm only able to pull that off because this is literally the only thing I'm working on. And in fact, this morning I worked on other stuff as well as like worked out and made myself like a fancy lunch. But now I'm literally gonna work all afternoon just on this. So let's jump into it. So today was my first day of editing, and I knew today would be a very telling day of whether or not these editing goals were realistic. And the good news is today I edited 6 chapters. For the rest of the week, I have 5 chapters a day that I need to edit. Granted, the farther we get into the book, the heftier the edits kind of sort of get, especially like the middle/end. But I did it. I edited the 6 chapters and it went well, and I actually felt like I implemented everything that I needed to implement and that it was done well and that I feel like it's coming out good. So day 1 is a success. We're on day 2. I've only edited 3 out of 5 chapters, but 2 of those chapters were intense rewrites, but I really like the rewrites. I have 2 more chapters to edit today, but I'm gonna take a break and go reward myself by going on a short little hike with Yue, because why not? I would take Moon, but he doesn't like being in the backpack to go hiking. Isn't that right, buddy?
Now that I'm looking back, I can see all the signs I tried to fill in the cracks that were spreading in my mind, but I was all out of hope, lost in an endless maze. The emptiness had unfolded just like a void, but you broke the coldness somehow and lit up a flame. And ooh, I was done feeling hopeless, screamed out loud because it felt impossible in my bones, like getting blood out of the stone on my own. But you came around and removed the thorn in my soul. You guided me out of the storm. I found home in your arms of gold, in your arms of gold, in your arms of gold.
Yesterday, after getting back from the hike, I had to deal with some annoying business stuff and never got back into editing. So, 'tis life. I only got 3.5 chapters edited, so now we jump back into it. And I expect it to be another day full of very, very heavy edits. I feel like maybe this video is gonna be just you guys seeing the progress of my sunburn healing. This is where we're at today. If I'm red, it's because I'm missing a layer of skin. So it is 2:30 and I've edited 2 chapters today. Unfortunately, they were the chapters I was supposed to edit yesterday. So according to like my daily schedule, I've accomplished nothing of what I was supposed to actually get done today. But since I'm starting what I'm actually supposed to be editing today, I thought I'd walk you guys through how I'm working to edit my novel. So I basically start with opening this notebook. This notebook is how I track all of my editing, and I turn to a new page, and every day I work on a different set of 5 chapters because my beta reader feedback was split by chapter groups of 5. So today I'm looking at feedback for chapters 12 through 16. So I'm gonna go ahead and write 12 through 16 at the top of this page. And then I open the Google form and I go through all the feedback that was left, and I write in the notebook the feedback that I actually want to implement. And the way I decide whether or not I want to implement it is basically if they have an idea for something, or if they think something needs to change, and I say to myself, yes, that would make it a better story, then I go ahead and change it. I will say I think I'm implementing most of what they're saying, because I just got really lucky with my beta readers and they did a really, really good job. There are some things where I'm like, yeah, that would work, but I feel like it works better without it, so then I leave it out. So then after I go through the Google form, I go through the PDF document that they read and see if there's any inline comments in the PDF document. There were only like 2 or 3 beta readers who really left like comments in the document, so I just go through to make sure there's nothing in there that I should be aware of. Most of the time it's just them being like, oh my god, I love this line. And then after that, I go to the actual manuscript, and the actual manuscript has the edits from my editor. And I usually skim through really quickly to see if she has any big changes. Otherwise, if she doesn't, I just go back to the beginning and work chapter by chapter, making the edits that I had written down in my notebook. Because I am a very data-driven person. I don't know. It's weird to say that because I don't like numbers, but I also do like numbers. But this is my planner, like my personal planner, not the book launch planner. This is just my personal planner, and I use it as like a bullet journal sometimes. I'm sorry. Yue wants to play. So I made this page in the planner to track how long it takes me to edit every single chapter. So I have chapters 1 through 30 and then the epilogue, and I just have a column where I can check off to say whether I'm done, and then I write down how long it took me. I think timing it helps me not get distracted, so I just have a little timer on my watch here, and I start the timer, and I want to edit it as quickly as possible, so because the timer is on, I find myself not reaching for my phone. I don't know why it works, it just does. But then when I reach the end of the chapter, I hit the end on the timer, I see how much time it took, and then I write it down here. And right now, I'm all over the place. The fastest it's ever taken me is 20 minutes. Obviously, that was a short chapter, but the longest it's taken me is 1 hour and 42 minutes for one chapter, and that's a chapter that required a lot of rewrites. And then, because we don't stop there, at the end of the day, I like to reward myself, and I reward myself by taking out the book launch planner. I open up to my monthly spread. This month is May, and I'm using my Stick Together monthly stickers. The month of May theme was honeybees, so it's decorated accordingly. And I like to write down how many chapters I wrote. So I'll take out one of my editing chapter stickers, and I'll write down how many chapters, and then I pull it off, and I plop it onto that day, and I reward myself with a sticker, and I feel good about myself. So today, I have 5 more chapters to edit. I've already edited 2 chapters. I've set myself a good and a better goal, which basically means like if I finish 2 more chapters, I'll be happy, but if I finish all 5 chapters, I'll be the happiest. So yeah, let's jump into it. Day 3 of editing. I'm currently sifting through the feedback for chapters 12 through 21. And oh my goodness. Well, first of all, I have one beta reader that says, "I'm happy for the survey intermission because I was weeping like a baby. I'm so entangled in this story." It makes me so happy. But there are some moments where I'm like, why did I even ask that as a question? Specifically, like, so we're at chapters, we're a little bit past the halfway point of the book. So at this point, I have a section that says predictions. Do you have any predictions on how the book will end? And I was like, why did I ask that question? Because, like, it's not a thriller, there's no plot twist, it's a contemporary coming-of-age romance. So, like, 9 times out of 10 with a romance, you can always predict the ending. So, it's the journey that matters. But I just wanted to say that editing is going very well. I did so much rewriting yesterday, like an intense amount of rewriting, but it's feeling really good and really strong now. It's day 4 or 5, I think day 5, it's Friday, that's all I know, it's Friday, and it's been a crazy day. So, I edited, I think, 3 chapters so far today, and I've been doing a crazy, insane amount of editing, and nothing like plot-wise, the book is the same, but the dialogue and the interactions between the characters, pretty different, but like in the best way possible. My love interest was very flat on the first draft, and then my editor helped me make him more dimensional, and now my beta readers are making him even more dimensional, and it's really, really pleasing to see the outcome and the progress of this character. So I am just like all sorts of like excited, and I have to say I'm glad I'm editing in this way, because I'm noticing a few things happening. Not only I'm enjoying the editing process more. I think something about knowing that my only goal for the day is editing makes it easier to edit. It's less stressful, because if a chapter takes a long time, I don't have to freak out and think to myself like, oh my god, I have a cover design client I need to work on, or I have a YouTube video I need to upload. I had done all of that ahead of time. So this week has just been editing for the most part. Every now and then I answer emails, but for the most part I'm 100% into editing. Like, that's what I do as soon as I wake up, and that's what I keep doing until like dinner time, and I'm enjoying it. Like, it's not feeling like it's an overbearing amount of work. It's just what I need to do right now, and I'm loving the story. I only get frustrated because like sometimes in the afternoons I have stuff I need to do that's not like work related, so I get annoyed because I want to keep editing but I can't, and it's very strange to be in that place. Second, I'm also noticing the editing is coming easier because I'm in the story. Like, I go to bed still thinking about the story, like, and working through it in my head. So sometimes I wake up and I re-edit something I edited the day before to make sure like I didn't miss that one little like hole in the plot. But I'm the type of person who's extremely forgetful. So in the past, when I've edited my books, I've noticed that I could be halfway through the book and be like, oh my god, what did I say in chapter 2? And then I have to go back to chapter 2. But because I'm editing it just this week, I don't forget, and I feel great. So it makes it easier to edit because I'm just constantly in this headspace. So I'm thinking I might keep this as my thing. I might just do it where I need to rework my schedule in the future. So when I work on my books, that's all I'm working on. I don't know if that will work, but it makes me feel really good, is all I know. Now, one thing I did want to talk about, because I haven't been doing a ton of talking on camera, admittedly because my sunburn was so bad that when I just looked at my face, it was just like, ooh, like, my face looks gross today. My face looks really red. My face looks like I'm missing a layer of skin, because that's exactly what was happening. But today, I'm feeling better. So I wanted to talk to you guys about beta reader feedback. So you guys have been seeing how I've been getting feedback from my beta readers. And one of the first things I experienced was feedback overwhelm. I had feedback coming from 7 different beta readers as well as my editor. And it was all wonderful feedback, but it made me feel very awful about my book all at once. So like I mentioned to you guys earlier in the vlog, when I sat down to start going through the beta reader feedback, I started doing that before I was actually going to start editing. So I started editing Monday, but went through the feedback on Sunday. And Sunday was a very depressing day because it was just a lot of feedback. And I found the biggest thing was to not go through all of it. I just skimmed. And I skimmed through all the feedback so I could know the big picture stuff. And then I go through it very meticulously as I get to that section every day. So that has worked really well for me. Now there's also the problem of some beta readers may give feedback that you don't agree with. And you just kind of have to know what's best for your story. But I will say, if there's something that my beta reader's pointing out and they're thinking that, I may not want to resolve it the way they want me to resolve it, but I do need to resolve it in some sort of way that still solves the issue. So for example, I will use an example from one of my beta readers. One of my beta readers said the fact that the two love interests, they just met and now they're traveling together. And she was like, that just doesn't seem realistic to me. But in the back of my head, being in like a hiker myself, I know that I meet random strangers all the time and I spend the entire day with them hiking. And I treat them like someone I've known my entire life. It's just the hiking community. It's like, it's a thing. It's hard to describe it unless you've experienced it yourself. So an average reader will not have experienced that. So I need to be able to make sure that my reader does experience that. So as they're reading the book, meeting up with a perfect stranger to go hiking doesn't seem freakishly strange. And this is also the first time where I've had a book that has a love interest. And it's very interesting because people prefer different things in a relationship. So I wrote this book one way, but I have some beta readers that are like, oh my god, I love the love interest. And then I have other beta readers that are the total opposite, that are like, he seems really pushy. Like, I don't like him. And you have to realize, one, you're not going to make everyone happy. And two, like, why are they saying that? Is he being pushy, or is this like okay for his character? So there was definitely a point where like some of my beta readers loved him, some of my beta readers didn't love him, and when they said they didn't love him, I had to get to the core of why they didn't love him so I could at least fix that. And I can't tell you more because I don't want to spoil the story, but I hope you get what I'm saying. Anywho, I think I'm on like chapter 22 or 23 right now. Things are going very well. The story is just heating up, and it's has more tension and feeling, and it's funny because you write the story one way and then you find these plot holes, and then you think that you need to completely rewrite the story to fix the plot hole. But for me at least, and for this story at least, it was not a rewrite that was needed, it was more info that was needed. And then that more info comes in and it makes the story more dynamic, it makes the characters more motivated to do what they're doing, and it's just a crazy experience. You just see things click into place and it just feels really good. For this book in particular, it's not the plot twist that's going to keep the readers going. There's just no... I like, the reader should probably be able to see where the story's going. What I want is for the readers to get so emotionally involved in this story that they can't put it down. I just spent 2 hours editing one chapter, and I have a feeling the next chapter will take just as long to edit. Am I getting more meticulous with my edits, or am I just forgetting how to edit? We'll never know. It's almost 10 o'clock at night, and I just finished editing chapter 30. So all I've left is the epilogue. However, I don't have the brain power or the willpower to keep going, because I've literally been at this since I woke up. So I'm gonna put a pin in it. I'm gonna come back tomorrow and gonna finish the epilogue because it needs pretty significant edits, and then we're gonna go back through, make sure everything makes sense, and hope for the best. Okay, so I'm sitting down to edit this vlog, and turns out I forgot to film an outro, so I'll make this quick. You may have noticed that by the end of this vlog, I was starting to get burnt out. I had like reached a high, but the last day where I stayed up till like 9 or 10 o'clock at night to edit, I was very burnt out and just not in the mood of filming, but very proud of the quick editing that was accomplished and the effective editing that was accomplished. And I enjoyed filming this vlog. I enjoyed talking through it, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it as well. Be sure to pre-order. Meet me at the summit. The pre-order link is down below, and again, when you pre-order, you can fill out the form to get free gifts. Otherwise, that is it for today. And be sure to subscribe because I will be sharing all of my publishing journey and how I do everything as I go through it here on my YouTube channel. So that is it. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, comment down below, and subscribe.